story, and I've heard it, and it's one of those ones that really just kind of gives you the chills down the back of your spine. What she went through, why she is the way she is, and how recovery has made her into this beautiful human being. So, Jessica.
Right on, Jay.
Jessica, I'm an alcoholic. Stained my shirt. My last drink was September 18th of 2020. I'm blank now. I'm not nervous about getting up here and talking in front of all of you because I have experienced copious amounts of public humiliation brought on by myself, mostly. I drank a bottle of fighting cock by myself one night and wrote a letter to my hometown newspaper calling the entire city thousandaire Philistines, and I told them they should dead end the highway and make it somewhere people could live. Then you heard about me being naked at the Sack and Fox Casino. So I'm not scared of what I might say or what might happen. It's something I can definitely live through.
Okay.
What I'm afraid of you knowing me. I'm afraid of being vulnerable. I have this ability, my higher power gave me this ability to put myself together in such a way that you can't tell I've been through anything. And if I tell you something about myself, now I'm vulnerable and you know me. Like Anna said, why I am the way I am. I like being mysterious because that is manipulation. But if I can't be mysterious, I can't. So, we're going to take the mask off. I got sober at this meeting in Tom's garage during lockdown when we weren't supposed to be meeting. So I got sober like an outlaw, just like I was drunk like an outlaw. So that kept me coming back. I don't know where this is going to go, but I guess we should just start. I don't want you to know me. I don't want you to know anything about me. I don't want you to know that when I drank, I was an abusive parent. I don't want you to know that about me. But I have to tell you. Do you know why I have to tell you? Because I don't plan on dying today. So tomorrow, I'm going to wake up and my kids are still going to be there and they're still going to need me. That was hard. Self-forgiveness is probably the hardest thing I'm going through in my recovery right now. I've done a lot of horrible things to some people who probably deserved it, but I was impatient with my kids. I was poor. I was constantly working, and I just did not have time to enjoy my kids' childhood. Did you see me play the victim right there? You let me do that. When I wasn't drinking and when I wasn't stressing about bills, I was coming down, I was getting drunk, or I was hungover. My son, I had a bad day the other day. I was taking my son to therapy, and I was telling him about it, and he said, "Why don't you come in with me?" Oh, he let me hijack his therapy appointment with Donna Jensen. I don't know if you know her. But we get in there, and me and Donna start talking about raising our kids and being poor and stuff like this, and she's like, "Yeah, but you go to the store and you get a chicken for $1.99 a pound, and you cut it up and you got 3 meals." And I'm like, "Donna, I was drunk. I'm just now getting that." And that was the first time that I had admitted in front of my son that the reason we were poor is because most of the money that I was making was going to my habits. Cigarettes, booze, drugs. So that was pretty big, and I think I saw a light come on, you know, because extreme poverty is traumatic for kids, and it was traumatic for my kids. So it's hard for me to forgive myself for that. And I've got sponsees now, and you'll never believe what they're working through. Self-forgiveness, because they're mothers, and we can't be good mothers while we're using and drinking. So I have to tell them how important it is for them to forgive themselves all the time while I'm still working through forgiving myself every day. So that's an amazing part about the program, and I'm not super intelligent. I didn't make any of that up. I learned that from you. People are drawn to me, but I'm not a social person. I've got a time limit on how much time I can spend with people. I was an only child. I grew up by myself. I spend so much time by myself that when I learn a new word and I don't hear someone else say it, I'll pronounce it wrong. That's how much time I spend by myself. And I really like that. I started drinking when I was extremely young. When I was in elementary school, my parents would give me gin and let me smoke pot with them, and then they would take advantage of me when they thought I was blacked out. Yeah, don't feel sorry for me. Feel sorry because I'm not the only fucking one. Feel sorry because it's common. This happens to people, and I learned that coming to meetings. Sitting at home by myself talking about how I don't have a relationship with my parents, I have no brothers and sisters, I have no family, I'm all alone. That stuff will make you suicidal. So you come to meetings and you listen to other women talk about what happened to them, and you get a community of people that support you, you know. And so when I was in elementary school, they thought I was retarded, and I'm not talking about like kids that can't read good. They had me in the classes with kids that were in wheelchairs and couldn't move and stuff like this. They thought I was severely retarded because I didn't talk a lot. But they would also call my parents and ask them, you know, why my bangs were burnt. It's because I was smoking a pipe at like 7 years old and then going to school hungover. So of course I didn't talk. And then when I got into middle school, I got braces because my teeth were so incredibly screwed up I couldn't swallow or breathe right. I was a mouth breather. So I weighed 180 pounds in elementary school. My teeth were so screwed up I couldn't swallow correctly. And I had glasses, and I was pretty well screwed up all the time. So they thought I was retarded. So that sucked. I got picked on. I got picked on a lot. We used to ride the bus to the middle school, and the kids would they would take their lunches and they would put their food in my hair on the bus, and then I would get to school and I'd have to take a shower. And this happened more than once. That's how I know these kids never got in trouble for this. So the school failed me. No child left behind, my ass. So I had a pretty good resentment there. I got a resentment against my parents. I've got a lot of justified resentment. If you know what that means to an alcoholic, justified resentment, death sentence. So I was carrying all that in here, and I was angry, Chantel. I was angry when I got in here. I was an angry individual.
She was angry.
I had a good job. I had my driver's license. My car was legal. I had a house. I was paying my bills. My kids were home. And I was angry. I was still so incredibly angry. And I was looking at my life, and I could see the only thing wrong with me. And I had accepted that I was an alcoholic way before I ever thought about a program or fixing it or anything like this. I wanted everyone else to accept it. This is who I am. This is my identifier. I will forever look at my life through the lens of a buzz because I've had it so bad. If you went through the stuff that I went through, you'd want to look through life with a buzz as well. So, it was a series of events. My daughter aged out of foster care. She aged out, my oldest daughter, she's 21 now. She aged out of foster care because she did not want to live with me. She got put in foster care when she was living with her dad. That's her third time. And we went to court and everything, and she asked me not to come to her child needed care case. And then she asked the judge to please not put her with me. So my oldest daughter aged out of foster care, and she came home, and she told me what it was like for her living with me. That's a bottom. She told me, this happened to me while you were drunk. This is what I went through trying to feed my brothers and sisters. This is what happened while you were drunk. This is what it was like. This is what it was like moving all the time. This is what it was This is what Mississippi was like. Oh my God, we're gonna do a whole 4-step on Mississippi. So that was bad. And then my middle daughter, I took her to the movies in Topeka with a cracked head gasket in my car. But I know my car. I could make it down and back if I just kept putting water in it and drinking vodka. So I took her to the movies in Topeka, and I drank a half pint on the way down there. I got some shots when I got there. And when I got to the movie theater, I was too drunk to find the bathroom. I couldn't get out of the theater. Somebody actually got up and helped me out the door. And I didn't have enough sense to just go sit down somewhere. No, I had to come back in. And then on the way home, we stopped at Hooters and I got a headache and another couple shots. I don't know how we made it home, but my car broke down right there at the underpass into Sabetha. I can't tell you what the truck looked like that drove us home, who was driving it, anything. Somebody came and picked us up and drove us home. And at that point, I could see backwards. I could see the time that I didn't have a driver's license, when I'd gotten a DUI. I could see when I didn't have a job. You know, I was like, I'm going backwards, and I just made it to Sabetha. This was another new town. I hadn't shown my ass here yet. They didn't know me. So, and I had a good job, and this is the job that I have now. I've had for 4 years, and this is the first legitimate job where I paid into Social Security for a long time, because I was not hireable. You know, I mean, I went through phases, and I ruined my reputation. And I mean, these towns are 3,000 people. It didn't. I mean, a couple good letters to the editor, and they are not putting your ass to work. So that's when I decided to go to rehab. It was that, and it was also taking all my boyfriend's stuff out into the yard in a rainstorm and trying to set it on fire. And I was like, you know, I've got insurance now. I can go to rehab. I think that I'm an intelligent human being, and I think that while I have the resources to do so, that it would be humiliating to myself to not take it. So I went to rehab, 10 days. That's all my boss would give me. So I came back, and it wasn't very long after that I was drunk, and my daughter had a friend over, and I work 6 miles from my house. There's 2 liquor stores in between. So by the time I got off work and got home, I was drunk. And she had a friend over, and I was obviously drunk. And my daughter comes up to me and she goes, I know you went to rehab. And I said, why are you telling people my business? And then lockdown happened, and she refused to come home. So then I'm at the high school talking to her counselor about her dropping out of school. And I almost fell out of the chair because I was drunk. So then I got drunk and I hit a cop. And then I got sober for real.
All right.
So that's not my first assault on an officer charge. It's genetic. I know it's genetic. I know that my alcoholism is genetic. I know that I don't know what it is, what's in my genes, that every time I see a badge I flip out. But I'll start fighting, and then when they call the cops, they're like, bring them, I'll fight them too. But I do. And I'll sometimes get naked for that too. But I went through phases in my life. I went through a hardcore drug phase, and I don't know what it was that kept me from getting carried away in that like so many of my peers did. Because I could pick it up and put it down whenever I wanted. But I never got carried away with it. But I did some pretty awful stuff. I went through a phase where I was sleeping with people's husbands, and it wasn't like, you know, oh, I got drunk, I don't know what happened, I'm so sorry. It was more like, yeah, I remember you from school. No, I don't want to buy any Pampered Chef. Who are you married to now? I slept with my stepsister's husband because she was mean to me when I was little. When me and my husband broke up, I slept with his sister. And his mom had 6 kids. She had 2 kids for husband. I made sure it was a sister that had the same dad. And then I found his ex-girlfriend, the crazy one, broke your heart, all this stuff. I slept with her, and we were together for a couple of years. She tried to kill me. I had no respect for family. I was angry. I had no respect for marriage and family and stuff like that, and it was because I couldn't have it. And I went after people who had hurt me in the past, because if I can't have it, you can't have it. See, he doesn't love you. See, your little family thing, you can post your pictures or whatever, it's not real. I wanted to take that from people because I couldn't have it myself. I was a deplorable person, and I don't want you to know that about me. I want to put this on. I want to show up. I want to tell you I'm a grateful alcoholic and I want to go home. And then I want my space. But I can't do that because that is a death sentence to alcoholics. So I have to show up here and I have to tell you my story, and I have to trust that you will accept me, and I have to believe in the program and the way it works, and my life has changed dramatically. I'm not angry. I was in this state of everything was my responsibility. My mistakes were my responsibility. The troubles I was going through at the time were my responsibility. My kids, my job, my bills, the guy that I had living with me, everything was my responsibility. I had all of this responsibility because it was all about me. I was unable to see anything else that was happening in my life, my kids' lives, anybody's life, because I was so intensely in control of everything. And I had to be in control of everything because I knew while I was drinking, I was this close to losing everything. So once I came into the program and I listened to what people were saying and I did breathe, it's not hard. None of this is hard. You know, life is not hard. Existing is not hard. I have the religion that I follow, we're coming up on a major holiday, Mbak. I just learned that word today. And it's the Catholic equivalent of Candlemas. It's the celebration of light, when we're coming from darkness into light. So I think it's very symbolic that I'm doing this right before this holiday, because I don't have the anger. Like I said, I'm not going to die today, so at some point I've got to lay all that down, and I've spent so much time, you know, because it's so easy for me to get up in the morning and tell myself that nobody cares about me. I mean, I don't have a relationship with my mother for obvious reasons. I don't have a relationship with my dad for obvious reasons. I mean, I don't have anybody, so it's very easy for me to get up in the morning and tell myself that none of this matters, nobody cares about me. And then I come here and I've got a whole room of people that don't want me to die. That's huge, you know? And I mean, it's therapy for $1 a week. You know? It's amazing stuff. And the more control that I gave away, the more in control I felt. The more that I wasn't, you know, constantly, my poor son, when I finally broke the obsession to drink, when I wasn't sitting in my driveway at noon after my first half pint of vodka, crying because I had to go back to the liquor store and get some more because I wasn't as drunk as I wanted to be. When that obsession was finally over, I started obsessing about him and everything he was doing. My son's going to grow up to be an addict. His dad's an addict, I'm an addict, he's going to be an addict. So I went through this kid's room. Oh, the hell I put that kid through. The hell I put that kid's friends through. And that is like a huge sign of my growth. I can't tell you that my son is clean from drugs today, but I can tell you that he talks to me, that I see him every day, that he is at school when he's supposed to be, that he's passing his classes. I can tell you that. And you know what? I am still an abusive parent. I am still learning. When you're poor and your kids ask you for stuff, you take it as an attack because you can't provide for them, so you lash back out at them when they need something. I still do that. I have to catch myself and make sure that when he comes to me for something, I'm not making him feel like he's a burden. You know, I have to open up. I'm 17 months sober. Don't expect me to have it. You know, this is where I am. I'm not here telling you I've got this whole thing figured out. I'm here telling you that I'm trying, and it's getting better. So the way I talk to him, that's one of the things that we're going to therapy for, is I learned this language through my life. When I was 15 was the last time that my mom tried to force me to take a bath with her, and I beat her ass. I beat her ass so bad. That was my first domestic violence charge. And after that, she signed her rights over to my boyfriend, and then a year later we were married. So, where the hell was I going with that?
Language.
Yeah. So when my mom left, my stepbrothers hired me on their remodeling crew. So they taught me this language, this rough kind of talking that has kind of always carried me through my life. It got me the job that I have right now working with truck drivers. They think I'm cute as hell. So I've used this language to control and manipulate people because it's scary, it's intimidating. You know, you tell them, you come back tomorrow, make sure you bring some wax paper so your candy ass don't stick to shit. They listen to you. So I've used this language with my kids, like their whole life. So it's like this, and then Dr. Taub and his love message. You know, I thought that was so obnoxious when I first got sober. I don't want to hear anything about love. But that has changed, it's changed my language. It's changed the way I talk. It's changed the way that I see things. I want to see things from a place of love. It is insane to look like this and be a monster on the inside. It was a long time. It was just a few months ago that I was able to see myself the way other people do. Because I've been an insane monster for so long that I think I look like a monster. So I take absolutely no credit for what in the hell ever's going on out here. Thank God for this meat suit. It kept me alive. So like every day is like something's changing. There's a lot of shadow work and there's a lot of ego. My ego is magnificent. That's probably one of the strongest energies on the planet, my ego. My ego introduced me before I walked in the room. It was so sick. And when I didn't choose to work on my ego chose this itself. It was my cards, it was my daily meditations, and then finally I Googled what an ego was, and this article that I read said that you have to detach yourself from your ego. A lot of women that come in the program, they tell you to write a letter to your younger self, thank her for everything that she did to get you here, and then say goodbye. So I called up my friend Kirk in Holton, who has a very good ego. I called him up and I said, look, I'm not doing this ego stuff. I will lock my front door and drink myself to death before I give up an ounce of anything that got me here. And he said, well, that sounds like a very healthy ego. I don't think you should let that go. So he told me that it was taming and raising my ego. It was teaching my ego when its services were needed and when they weren't, basically. And I was like, you mean I got to carry around a damn notebook and multi-manage my emotions, thoughts, and feelings? Like, for how long? And he's like, forever. So we've been working on that. But I appreciate my ego. But it was so sick. I mean, it was built on so much good stuff. You know, when I was 8 years old, I walked down to the dollar store. My parents gave me money to go to the swimming pool, and I walked down to the dollar store and I bought a lock, a little hook and eye lock, and I put it on the inside of my bedroom door to keep them from coming in and getting me out of bed at night. So I put it on there, you know, little kid putting this lock on there. I see my stepdad put it on the bathroom, stuff like that. Sure enough, they come to open the door that night and it didn't open. You have any idea how good that felt? Yes, that's the kind of stuff that my ego is built on, and I'm not giving it up. But I don't need to be so intense. So we're working on taming the ego, but I hear people all the time say, I don't have an ego, or I'm going to kill my ego, and I'm like, man, I feel sorry for you. You need that. Your ego is balanced. I can't do this. I'm worthless. Nobody's ever going to like this. This is terrible. Ego. I am too good for this. I cannot tell you I am blah, 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 blah. Ego. They're both ego. And the idea is to have a balanced ego, not a dead ego. I'm making that point for me. So, where I'm at today. Today I am a grateful alcoholic, and I understand what that means today. You know, a lot of people would say that when I first came in, and I'm like, I'm grateful I'm sober too. No, I'm grateful that I got the opportunity to be an alcoholic, because there's a lot of people out there that don't have the privilege of this program. They don't have the privilege of acceptance. Not accepting that they're an addict, not accepting they're an alcoholic, but accepting everything that happens in their life, period. You can't change anything unless you accept it. You can't do anything without acceptance. And acceptance was the hardest thing for me to come up. Hard. Accept it. I have to accept my childhood. I have to accept that I was a bad parent. I have to accept, all these horrible things that I did in my past. And then I have to accept where I'm at today. And you know what? That's okay. Because it's just for today. So acceptance is huge in everything. You get a flat tire, you have to accept it. My middle daughter still doesn't talk to me, I have to accept it. That's hard. I didn't want to talk about that. Let's move on. The privilege of the program and the higher power. I had the higher power thing sent me back out twice. This is my third trip through the program. That higher power thing sent me back out twice because it felt so religious. The Lord's Prayer, all this stuff, it felt so religious that I was like, this is Christianity and religionism, and it's camouflage, it's recovery. And I'm not doing it. You're not forcing that Bible down my throat. But once you've had a spiritual experience, the label on whatever people are saying to you doesn't matter. It's like I can talk about my religion now without putting yours down. I don't have to point out the holes in your God theory for me to be comfortable with my higher power, because there's holes in my God theory too. Yeah. So that was huge. And there's a lot of godless people out there. But I mean, that's what they call untreated people. And I always thought that was odd too, untreated people. It's like when somebody is mean to me for no reason, I have the liberty of saying, well, you're untreated. You haven't accepted things as they are. I have not started making amends. I don't know how. I think I'm just going to write another letter to the editor. I'm just going to be like, you remember me from about 20 years ago? Well, I'm sober now. The paper that I wrote those letters to the editor in, they did a huge write-up for my cleaning business when I started it. It was like a full section, my picture and everything. And then here I go, you guys are a bunch of thousandaire Philistines. So, yeah, I had on my amends list, I had a whole town, I had Walmart. Of course, a lot of the people that I heard, those amends have been made over time, But I don't know if it counts. Now that I'm sober, I should go back and do it again. I made an amends to the guy's house that I went to and did drugs at. I stole the painting from his house. It was like 10 years ago. And so I took it back, and he didn't know it was gone. That's the amends I've made so far. And the only thing that matters to me, and this is okay too, because it's just for today, but the only thing that matters to me is making amends to my kids. And I just paid for my son to go to Nashville with his singing group for a school trip. And that blows my mind. That was so unheard of in my past life. It was like, we had to not go to their championship ball games because I didn't have money to get in, But I was drunk, but I didn't have money to get in. So nobody helping me, You know, no outside help. I did that myself with money I made at my job. That is amazing. That may be the coolest thing I've ever done. You know, and I'm grateful for that. The gratitude list. If you've got a sponsor that makes you send him a gratitude list every day, you got a good sponsor. That is important stuff. You know, and I'm kind of a anti-government revolutionary, self-proclaimed. So the idea that I have to be grateful for my basic needs pisses me off. You know, there's no reason that people should be praying to God for, you know, water, electricity, their rent, stuff like that. I mean, we live in an economy, we live in a country, we live in a world where everybody should pretty well have everything they need. You know, so untraining myself in that way of thinking was hard. Because I have been without electricity, I have been without water, I have been without a house. So, you know, I most emphatically should be grateful for those things. But here I want to take on the world. I don't want to change what needs to be changed in me. I want to change what needs to be changed in the world, because then I don't have to look at myself. So there's a lot of untraining my, Donald Trump was not good for me. I don't know how I made it through that sober. I don't know how I did that. I think it was just full-on determination and rage. Because that just kept me mad. And then I'd have to change groups. Did you guys notice I was skipping around a lot? Yeah. It'd get too thick over here, so I'd have to come over here. Oh, I made it though. We all made it. We made it through Trump. We made it through lockdown. Together with our different points of view, grateful for the things that we have. So that I learned a lot. I learned a lot then about my liberal revolutionary ways, and I learned that I can't help it. I want to help people who were in my situation. You know, I took a grant writing certification class to help women start businesses, period. I got the opportunity to do the bakery deli for Cecil K's in Holton. If you go in there, the hot cake they have in the bakery deli was bought from the Apple Market in Seneca. But I had the opportunity to do that, and I was, it worked out. It worked out somehow. But I was hammered drunk the whole time, and I didn't do anything but fight with my boss. I don't know how I didn't get fired from that job. But it was a learning experience that I want to take into something else. I want to help women, poor women, start businesses. You know, so I can't help anybody until I could manage my own self, my emotions, my life, my money. So, I mean, everything is a learning experience for somebody who came in knowing everything. For somebody who came in a genius, Tom. I came in a genius. And every day I'm learning something new, so. I don't know how much more time do I have? Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
Tell me how you work the steps.
Whoa.
One at a time. One at a time. When I started, I was going to do one step a month. My first year, I was going to be completely done. And then I couldn't find a sponsor that would handle me. I went through 3 sponsors, and I got stuck on the first step for a long time, and then I got a sponsor that pushed me through the steps. Just straight on through. I was going through so much stuff. My son was using drugs. He was getting institutionalized. I was breaking up with my boyfriend, so I'm calling my sponsor. This is supposed to be my person I call all the time, right? I'm calling my sponsor, telling her all this stuff's going on in my life, and she's like, have you worked this step yet? Have you worked this step yet? So, yeah, I went through the steps awful fast. I got to step 9, and I said, look, I'm not making amends to anybody because I had this entitled anger. I was angry, and I was entitled to my anger, and I wasn't going to let it go. So I was going to make a list. I was going to make amends, anything like this. So I got a new sponsor, and I'm at step 1 again, and that's 17 months. So now we're on step 1, and I don't care if I stay there for the rest of my life. You know, acceptance is key. And I realize now, since I've been told that I can work a 4-step on anything. You know, and there's lots of different kinds of 4-steps I didn't realize. You know, like my sex inventory. I realized that I only date guys who are incapable of giving me everything I need for a healthy relationship. You know why I do that? So when it's over, I didn't lose anything. I'm not out anything. I can say, well, that guy obviously didn't have what it takes. So I do get hit on a lot, which I think is kind of bizarre because I'm 17 months sober. So what happens if I relapse? You know, what happens if you wake up in the middle of the night and we're playing Russian roulette? Because that's my crazy, you know? So I don't understand that. I think that if I have been attracted to you, you should probably go and talk to your sponsor. I think that's really important. I think that there should definitely be some. Cause I don't have healthy relationships. I'm 17 months sober, and I'm not going to let anybody expect anything from me that I'm not ready to give. Because I've been everything. You know, I've been a trophy. I've been a punching bag. I've been a mom. I've been all this stuff. But you know what I haven't been? A homeowner. Where's my people at? So I'm just kind of working on myself right now and working through. I have an awesome sponsor. I have an awesome sponsor now that doesn't give up on me. She is a yoga teacher, which I'm aspiring to be a yoga teacher, and so I'm learning meditation and I'm learning yoga, and that's definitely a spiritual experience. Every yoga pose is a prayer. So the whole time that you're doing this yoga, you're not only praying, you're meditating, and you're trying to keep your balance, so you're not able to think about anything else while you're doing it. And the whole idea behind yoga is a loving, healthy detachment. So I have to be, and this is in the program too, I have to be detached from my life. I've spent my whole life detached from everything. I've never felt a connection with anything, except for the earth, and that's why I'm pagan. But now my yoga teacher is telling me that I can't have a connection, not a control mind connection with anything on the planet. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. What is the point? So that is something that I absolutely have to learn. You know, I can't, my kids, my poor son who's still stuck at home with me, I have to have a loving detachment with. So, that's where I'm at on that. Any other questions? Thank you for that question.
No one?
All right. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
And I've heard it, and it's one of those ones that really just kind of gives you the chills down the back of your spine. What she went through, why she is the way she is, and how